Yo, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be talking about the USC Trojans, giving a quick preview for the 2024 season. Now, headed into year 3 under Lincoln Riley, the expectations are high once again, even after a very disappointing 2023 where they went 8-5 with the reigning Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams. They did average 41 points a game. That was not the issue. The issue was the other side of the ball. Alex Grinch was the defensive coordinator, and they allowed 34 points a game, 121st out of 133 FBS programs. Obviously, they needed to make a change. They did just that. Lincoln Riley, he understands how to compete at the highest level. This is a guy that went to the college football playoff in 2017, 2018, and 2019 at Oklahoma. Now, what was the problem at Oklahoma? Defense. He could score 40 to 50 points a game very easily, but he can never get over the hump because they couldn't slow teams down. Teams like Georgia, Alabama, LSU, SEC programs that were bigger up front, they had no chance of stopping. So, he's just taking a different approach this year, and we're just going to run through the depth chart here, starting with the defense, because I think that's the most important part of this team this year. We know the offense is going to be good. Miller Moss is at quarterback. Obviously, Lincoln Riley, quarterback guru, Heisman Trophy winners, first-round draft picks. Quarterback's going to be fine. Defense, they got a lot of new faces, a lot of very high-impact players. We're going to start out with Kamari Ramsey at safety. This is the guy who transferred from UCLA. Instant impact guy. Probably going to be the best defender in the secondary. Along with him in the secondary, they have John Humphrey, Achille Arnold, Jalen Smith, DeCarlos Nicholson, Marcellus Williams, Greedy Vance Jr., and Zion Branch. This is a very deep defensive back room. They did lose Damani Jackson to the transfer portal. He is at Alabama. But these guys are very talented athletes. That's why it never made sense why Alex Grinch could never get the defense right, because USC was recruiting very good athletes, very well-rounded players, especially up front. They have Bear Alexander up front. This is a guy who was instant impact, big-time defensive tackle at Georgia. As a true freshman, he had a very good national championship game against TCU. He decided to enter the portal, which confused many, but USC got him. Now it's just time to put all the pieces together. They also have Anthony Lucas at defensive end, who figures to step into a bigger role this year. He was part of that 2022 Texas A&M recruiting class, best class of all time. Yeah, so we know they have guys that can play ball. Like, they have Mason Cobb, who's a fifth-year senior. He transferred in from Oklahoma State a year ago. Very good tackler at linebacker. They have Easton Mascarenas Arnold from Oregon State, who was a very prioritized transfer get for them. So all in all, they got the pieces. They built out a very good staff. They have multiple NFL staffers on this defensive staff. Now, will Lincoln Riley let them practice defense and prioritize defense? Because if they don't, nothing's going to change. Now, on the flip side, if they do, all these guys reach their full potential. We're talking about a very different USC team under Lincoln Riley. But we have to be realistic with ourselves. We have not seen Lincoln Riley prioritize defense in the 7 to 8 years he's been coaching since the 2017 season. Will this be the first year? We're just going to have to wait and see. But let's flip over to the offensive side of the ball, where Lincoln Riley does prioritize playmakers and knows how to get them the ball. We already mentioned Miller Moss. He's going to step in at quarterback. Malachi Nelson was going to battle him, but that seemed like a long fetch battle for Nelson as he did enter the portal. At running back, they have Woody Marks, Quentin Joyner, and Brian Jackson. This isn't the deepest running back room. Rayleigh Brown, he has moved on from the program. A lot of question marks here after losing guys to the NFL draft. At receiver, though, not many question marks. A lot of studs, a lot of experience, and some young guys that a casual college football fan might not know who they are, but the diehards know who they are, and the whole country will probably know who they are by the end of the season. I'm talking about Mekhi Lemon, Deuce Robinson, Jacoby Lane, 3 sophomores. If I'm Lincoln Riley, I'm putting them in the fire early on and seeing what they got, because we know what Zachariah Branch has. He's also a sophomore. So we're talking possibly 4 sophomores at the top of this depth chart, with Kyle Ford going back and forth between tight end and receiver. And I just want to go back on Zachariah Branch real quick. This is a guy who had comparisons to Tyreek Hill coming out of high school. We saw it in the Under Armour All-American game. Right away, he returned to punt. Even last year on USC, he had some very flashy plays. They just got to find a way to get him the ball, prioritize him on special teams, and just let him do his thing. The sky's the limit for him. And then behind him, in the slot or outside, depending on where they're going to play, they have Kyron Hudson, who's been battling injury. He's another very talented player. And as I mentioned, Kyle Ford, he was at USC a couple years ago. He went to UCLA. Now he's back at USC. So they got a lot of playmakers, and if the past is any indication, Lincoln Riley will probably have an offense that averages around 40, 45 points a game this year. But yeah, it just goes back to the defense and whether or not they can get that figured out. All right, for the next part of the video, we're just going to go through their schedule. And things start off with a bang opening weekend against LSU at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, 7:30 on ABC. This is the Sunday game of week 1. Now, USC, there were rumors that they were trying to get out of this game and not have to play it. That's not the case. They do have to play this game. They have to play LSU. They're going to be underdogs, but nothing's impossible. LSU's going to have to break in a new quarterback as well. Now, Garrett Nussmeier has more experience than Miller Moss. We saw Garrett Nussmeier light up Georgia in the SEC championship game a couple years ago despite a loss. He still threw for, I think, 300 yards and scored 30 points. So we know what he is. But hey, USC's they're gonna have a chance in this game. Now, it goes back to what I said. Are they gonna be able to stop LSU whatsoever? We know LSU's gonna score. USC's gonna score. Who's gonna get stops? After that, they play Utah State. Should be a win. Then they have a bye before they head to the Big House to play the defending national champs, Michigan. Now, that's probably gonna be the hardest game of the season for USC, just because you're gonna have to stop a team you know will run the ball until you stop it. That could be the hardest game for USC this year. Then they play Wisconsin and Minnesota, 2 games they should be favored in. And then they get Penn State at home. Luckily, they don't have to go to Penn State. Penn State has to travel across the country. That's probably going to be a toss-up game. That's mid-October. Then they go at Maryland, Rutgers, then at Washington. 3 games they should be favored in before their second bye week. And then they get Nebraska, at UCLA, and then Notre Dame. Notre Dame to end the season Saturday, November 30th. Probably the second best defense they play all year behind Michigan. Before I say who I think will win this game, this is the last game of the season, so what version of USC are we going to have? If all those problems I talked about on defense are fixed, Notre Dame may struggle to score because USC, they have guys up front. We just got to see if they're going to live up to the potential, live up to the hype that they have had this whole offseason. I think a realistic expectation for this year is 9-3 for USC. You have LSU, Michigan, Penn State, and Notre Dame. Now, there's 4 games right there that you might be the underdog in. You could be favored in 1 just depending on how the season's going, but you're going to be an underdog 4 times. I'm predicting they get at least 1 of those, and they could very well get 2. Penn State has to come across the country. Notre Dame has to come across the country. Those are 2 home games. I don't see them beating LSU, and I don't see them beating Michigan. But hey, if they get 2 of those, 10-2 is a very good possibility. 9-3 is where I'd set the bar, though. To end the video, we're just going to take a look at their 2025 recruiting class as of July. Right now, they sit at 24th in the team rankings, and their class is headlined by 5-star quarterback Julian Lewis from Carrollton High School in Georgia. This is a kid that had all the hype, even from when he was in 7th, 8th grade. He was getting offers. Georgia, Texas, LSU, Auburn, everyone was on this kid. Alabama, when he was coming up. Lincoln Riley got an early commit, but now he's going to have to hold off Deion Sanders in Colorado for Julian Lewis. Lewis is obviously the headliner of this class, but there's a lot of uncommitted players that Lincoln Riley is prioritizing right now that are uncommitted. Those guys include Elijah Griffin, 5-star defensive lineman from Georgia who's talked about taking a visit. Justice Terry, he decommitted from USC, but nothing's official until December, so anything can happen. USC is still in communication with Jonah Williams, #1 linebacker from Texas. They're in it for Trey McNutt as well, but he is committing soon, and it seems like that's going to be an Oregon versus Texas A&M battle. Andrew Marsh is a 4-star receiver. He's from Texas. That's looking like Texas, USC, and Michigan battle. 2 other prospects from the East Coast that they're in on is Bryce Fitzgerald, a safety from Miami, and then Malachi Goodman from Paramus Catholic in New Jersey. Those are probably going to be 2 priorities going forward. Safety, interior offensive line. USC definitely needs those in this class. I'm not sure what the ceiling for this class is going to be. I mean, they only have 14 commits right now. They're 24th. And as I just mentioned, they don't have a lot of top targets left. And I don't know their chances with Elijah Griffin. Now, he's going to visit, but he's a 5-star D lineman from Georgia. We know how things typically go there. Kirby Smart's not going to let him go easily. And they already lost Justice Terry, who's looking to go to Georgia as well. But if they can't put pieces around this class and help Julian Lewis, I'm not really sure if USC will finish top 20. And I don't think there's an excuse for that, especially with Lincoln Riley at the helm. He knows how to recruit at a high level. We saw it at Oklahoma. But but I think the on-field product is affecting their high school recruiting and the transfer portal. Now, if USC has a good season, they start off with a bang, they beat LSU, they go in the big house, they beat Michigan, we could be talking about a whole different recruiting class come November and beginning of December, especially if they're in the playoff. We're just going to have to wait and see how all this plays out. Personally, I'm a Lincoln Riley believer when it comes to quarterbacks and recruiting them. I think USC is going to hold on to Julian Lewis. I think he understands that he needs to prioritize development and playing with elite receivers, and he's going to get that at USC. And if he stays committed, he can also help recruit, those 5-star, 4-star receivers and help get guys out of the portal. USC fans, let me know down below what you guys think your chances are of getting Elijah Griffin and possibly getting Justice Terry back in the fold. And let me know what you think about a 9-3 schedule prediction for you guys in 2024. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll be putting out team previews for top 25 teams over the next coming days and coming weeks until we hit the college football season, which we're only a month away. Turn on that bell icon so you get all notifications for future videos, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.